again, here today with the Westerville Sunrise Rotary and Chili Open. Super excited with Watershed Distillery. This is an event we've always loved to be participating in and a part of since for the past few years or so. And sad it couldn't be in person this year around, but we're super excited to be doing virtual things like this. So talk just briefly about Watershed. If you're not super familiar, we've been distilling here in the heart of Columbus, the Grandview neighborhood, for 10 years, a whole decade of independent distilling. Our founder and CEO, his name's Greg Lehman, started the distillery out right here. Started off with the vodka and a gin. That kind of grew into bourbon, apple brandy, two other types of gin, Nocino, and Old Fashioned, which is a bottled cocktail just ready to go. Super popular. Now we're distributed in 10 different states, so that's very exciting. We're going to kind of get into a cocktail today with you guys. It's called the Gold Rush. This cocktail is so super easy to make at home, but it will impress. It's one of those things that when people taste it, it's an instant success, and they don't have to know that it doesn't take too much work. Before we actually kind of really get into the cocktail, we'll kind of talk briefly about the components that make it up. So obviously you've got bourbon, that's going to be our base. So we're using our Watershed bourbon. This is a 4-year-old bourbon, sits around 90 proof. This bourbon is extremely smooth, it's sweet, very, overtones of cherry, a lot of that oak coming out, so makes a great cocktail. It's not overpowering, it won't overtake any cocktail that you use it in, but it can also stand up on its own if you just, want a little nip all by itself. Also, we're gonna be using a honey simple syrup. Now, simple syrup is the easiest thing in the world to make. It's 1 part sugar, 1 part water. Honey, naturally very sugary. It's just 1 part honey, 1 part water. So we just kind of stuck some boiling water in this bottle with an equal part honey, shook it up, and you're ready to go. So it's actually pretty simple to make. Last but definitely not least, lemon. Now lemon is perfect additive to almost any cocktail you want to make. It adds a little bit of bitterness, but a little bit of sweetness. So always fun to play around with. And guys, this combination of spirit, simple syrup, and lemon juice is pretty phenomenal just across the board. You can use a lot of different simple syrups, a lot of different spirits, just in correlation with each other, just kind of switching them in and out. And we'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. Before we actually get into making the cocktail, I do want to kind of talk about just a little cocktailing 101, mixology 101 here. If you've not, a professional bartender or mixologist, little pro tip here. Always start with your least expensive ingredient. This is the #1 thing about making any sort of cocktail. That way, if you mess up, you're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, if you know what I'm saying. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with a little bit of ice. So you wanna get your shaker tin. If you don't have a shaker tin, no big deal. Most people have mason jars laying around the house, so, grab a mason jar. But you wanna get a little bit of ice in there. Now you don't want too much ice. Just about this much is kind of how much is in here. So you want just about the right amount. So a little over half, not too much. And remember what I said about the cheapest ingredient first. So our cheapest ingredient will be lemon juice. So I went ahead and squeezed this one all out, so we're good to go. We're gonna do 0.75 ounces of lemon juice. And then you're gonna do about 0.75 ounces of that honey simple syrup. So just kind of pouring it right in. Right there into your shaker tin. Last but not least, you're gonna do 1.5 ounces of bourbon. So you just get that 1.5 ounce pour going on there. Put it all together and then you're gonna shake it up. Now, before we kind of get into shaking, something that I always kind of like to go through, shaking versus stirring. If it is a shaking cocktail, you definitely want to make sure you shake it just because there's more thorough dilution. You get the flavor that you're actually trying to get out of the cocktail, and it's not something, it won't be as strong, we'll put it that way. So cocktails like an old fashioned, you definitely want to stir. You get a nice mixing glass, kind of stir it up. But cocktails like this, you want to shake. So you just go ahead and shake. And rule of thumb, just kind of shake. Shake about 6 seconds or so. I always say until you can see kind of the frost on this, just until it's getting frosty, it's getting cold, it's kind of hard to hold. So you just kind of shake it all up. Get your strainer. And you want to serve this up. This particular glass is called a Nick and Nora. Look at that, the right amount. It's like I've done this before. And then, to finish it all off, you want to get a garnish. So you just take lemon, get your peel. To garnish with the lemon, something that most people kind of do wrong in home bartending, you want to get the oil kind of spritzed over the top of the cocktail. Now, in order to do that, you want the skin side out. This is saturated with that phenomenal lemon juice oil, and you just kind of, just like this. And if you can see barely, it just kind of spritzes that oil right off the top. It just makes this incredible aromatic experience. You can drop your peel in. If you're feeling kind of froggy, you can cut a little V in the peel, kind of just hang it on the side. Whatever you want to do. If you want to make a, I don't know, a animal out of it or something, you can definitely do that too. Do whatever you want, get fancy with it, and then you just enjoy. Cheers.